So, welcome back to Time for DMC. I'm Jono, and today we are turning the lens inward to look at the blueprints we build for our lives. They say that a goal without a plan is just a wish. But in the chaos of the everyday, how do we actually bridge that gap between who we are and who we're striving to become? Think about that moment of clarity when you finally find your flow, whether it's nailing a career milestone, mastering a hobby that's just for you, or finally getting a grip on the ticking clock of time management. And for many of us, especially those with neurodivergent minds, navigating the world's expectations can feel like trying to run a marathon in a room full of mirrors. It's about finding that same energy in the people around us, the tribe that doesn't just tolerate our pace, but matches it. So today, we're mapping out the journey. We're diving into the grit of career aspirations, the delicate art of protecting our time, and why having a hobby isn't just a distraction, but a vital piece of the self-development puzzle. We're exploring how to tune out the external pressure and tune into our personal growth. So with that said, I'm your boy. Start that again.
I'm your boy. I'm your boy, Jono.
We should have like an outtakes thing, shouldn't we? With bloopers.
I just keep that in.
Keep it in.
I want to make this more humour. I think we need more of our actual friendship rapport in there. I think we've got to inject a bit more humour into it and have ourselves and have our own dynamic in there a bit. You're joined by Joe Hackman. Hello. How's it going?
Yeah, really good. I'm looking forward to today's episode. I've been wanting to do an episode on self-development and life goals for a long while, so I can't wait to get into it.
And that's not a subject I'm particularly good at. I will always say, we were talking a little bit earlier about personal goals, and the first thing that pops into my head is that a lot of people will struggle with is New Year's resolutions. And that ain't me. People always ask me like, oh, what are you doing for New Year's resolutions? I don't keep them because I don't trust myself to keep them. I just can't do it, and I'm terrible. I'll just always try and have things going throughout the year. But I mean, do you keep resolutions, Jono? How about you? What's a resolution you've had?
I don't think I even bothered this year.
No.
Because like you, I won't stick to them. I might have maybe a week where I'm like, yeah, really pumped to get going my New Year's resolution. And then after 7 days, it will just stop. And I also think that there's a level of beauty that comes with realizing that you won't follow through with them because there's other ways. And
that's one word for it, beauty. I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to put a positive spin on it, but
I think it's knowing yourself, knowing that, yeah, this just isn't realistic.
That's not to say that you can't achieve your goals.
Yeah.
New Year's resolutions don't work for everyone, and they certainly don't work for me. So I'm like, well, there's better ways to achieve a goal. It doesn't have to have a label like, oh, a New Year's resolution. And it kind of sounds like you're much the same, Joe.
Yeah. I mean, I've had some people have some really good New Year's resolutions of like reading more. I mean, the classic ones are like go to the gym, eat healthier, do all this kind of stuff. But I've heard people do like some really good ones of like read more, find a hobby, or get more invested in their hobbies, see friends more, keep more communication with family. It's like those things that I think would be achievable because they're enjoyable to some extent. They're things that we can keep going with, whereas like the gym, fuck me, I can never, unless I've got like a gym buddy, really keep gym sessions consistent, and health, that's a big thing for me, is just keeping myself healthy. I'm not a picture of health, me.
No, me neither. Like my diet, for instance, isn't terrible, but it's definitely not great either. And with New Year's resolutions, I've just had this realization, but another thing that I don't really agree with is in life, especially in the modern world that we're living in, there's a lot of pressure to keep on top of every element and aspect of life. You've got your job, you've got your health, you've got finances. We're going to get onto a lot of this a little bit later on, but there's so many different areas of life that you feel like you have to focus on in order to...
It's spinning plates, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's just not healthy. And that's why I don't really like New Year's resolutions that much. It's because it's like humans aren't designed for the modern world when you've got to keep on top of all of the messages coming in to your phone. You've got to keep on top of everything I've just mentioned. And that's how you burn out.
Yeah. I mean, even sustaining relationships with really good friends is tough for that reason you mentioned. I mean, I was reading a great book a while back, Sapiens. It's quite well known, I think, at this point, but it's about like the human's evolutionary path, I suppose, from early man to now. And it mentions that our brains are only really wired to know max 150 people. But with Facebook and social media, we keep track of everyone. We know what everyone is doing in their lives to an extent. I mean, me and my sister are very guilty of this, that we will put off replying to messages sometimes because we've got so many things to reply to, and it's like almost an overwhelm. And that's, yeah, I think that's a really tough thing. Keeping good contact with friends is a goal. Is just so weird to me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And no, 100%. And I'm exactly the same. And the way I see it is, it's with like social media, with WhatsApp, everything. It's like there's almost that pressure to stay connected and always to be contactable. And I really struggle with that, because it's like, I'm not saying everyone expects a response within half an hour, but I do feel like overall the culture that social media is created is you always have to be available. And I really struggle with that. I'm like, I will get back to you when I have the mental energy to respond to you. If I don't do so straight away, it's not because I'm not trying to be rude. It's just I want to give you enough attention. I want to give you the attention that you deserve. But in order to do so, I have to have a certain level of social battery. So
yeah. And when people have said like, oh, it's just a text, just reply to a text. It's not a text. It's like 50 other texts I've got from everyone else that I've got to reply to.
Yeah.
So I totally agree. But I think as a goal, friendship is a must. I mean, we were also talking earlier about how, like, would we rather be, if we're having a social gathering, would we rather have 20 people, spend time with 20 people versus 5? And you and I both agree, probably 5, because you just get that deeper connection with your mate. Really.
You get that deeper connection. There's less pressure to socialize with, let's say, everyone when there's a smaller number. And they're more like targeted, the connections are more targeted, and you can get to the end of the evening knowing that you've had some good quality conversations with the group of 5. Whereas, I used to do, Jono Fest, big kind of festival. You went to a few of them, didn't you, Joe?
I did. Let's give some background onto Jono Fest here, because this is probably one of the best parties I've ever been to in my life. My word. Jono Fest, you need to do another one. But yeah, go ahead. What is Jono Fest for our listeners?
So Jono Fest was a DIY festival that I used to run when I was at uni. I can't remember, I did quite a few of them during the 3 years of uni, but it used to take place at my parents' place in the summer. Used to get the pool all ready, and we used to have like a barbecue and good music and all sorts. I think we also had bonfires, and people were able to camp over and stuff like that. So it was very much
just the best vibes. Yeah. Just such a vibe. And like everyone that went there all knew each other, was pretty close anyway. So it was just, let's just have fun. It was great.
That's it. It was great. I really, really enjoyed hosting Jono Fest. I loved seeing people in different areas, and there was never any pressure for everyone to be together, because where it was happening, it was quite a big space. So people were able to spread out, which was really, really nice. I mean, do you want me to focus on just the positives of Jono Fest or the negatives too?
Well, if you wish to mention them, I think we'd all like to know.
Okay, so the negatives, they're not related to the attendees, to the friends who came every year.
Safe.
Yeah, I wanted to put that out there. It was the planning. The planning was basically, it was rewarding during the actual festival, because it was nice seeing people enjoying the fruits of my labor, but it was a real challenge getting everything set up. And more often than not, it was just me. setting everything up.
I
And
didn't
I
know
was
that.
happy
Wow.
to, but I think it got to a point where it was exhausting. It had its time, but it got to a point where I was putting so much effort into it without much help. But I just got to a stage where I was like, I just can't keep doing this, which is why I finished it on a high in 2019, I think was the last one. So
Would it just get bigger and bigger with every year then?
not so much, because it was always the same kind of setup, if you like. But I think it was just the fact that I had people asking me questions left, right, and center. And it was very much, I wanted to get to a point where I was just able to set things up and just to chill out. But because I was the host, I wasn't really able to do that, because I had someone dropped a glass, for instance. I had to go and find a first aid kit for them because they cut themselves, by stepping on the glass, or someone wanted to know where the barbecue was, or someone wanted to put their food in the freezer or something like that. I spent probably more time up until the evening, when I could really switch off, looking after the guests than actually enjoying myself. So it wasn't to do with the people, it was to do with just the hosting of the event. So
yes, and that's understandable. It's like when you're hosting anything at your own place, you do kind of have this inner tension. Obviously, you want to have a good time, you want everyone else to have a good time, but it's like countless times when I've hosted, and it's the same with like at my parents' house as well. People will spill something, and I'll be like, "Oh shit!" Like, okay, right, quick! I'm going to snap out of it and get into host mode, checking that no one's going in my parents' room or stuff like that. So that is very stressful at the best of times.
That's it. And I think at the end of the day, I'd do it again. I'd start hosting them again if I was able to get a few people to help out with the setup. But I had the benefit of having my parents' place available, which now I have my own house. So if I was to do them again, I would host them here, but I would still prefer people to just chip in. I wouldn't ask for loads of stuff, but just a bit of help with the prep.
Yeah. Well, I will be there, Jono. Don't you worry.
Thank you. Can always rely on you, Joe. But yeah, so what were we talking about? Can't remember.
Goals.
I mean, do we want to start with career goals or more personal goals?
I think normally the first thing that people will go to, because obviously everyone needs a job, everyone needs a career. Let's start with careers. Because it's funny that, isn't it? When you first meet someone, first thing they'll say, "Oh, what do you do?" As if like you're boiled down to your profession as who you are. So we will keep on with that theme and introduce ourselves as our professions, I suppose, or our life goals, and then we get on to life, because we work to live.
Sounds good. And I'm going to let you start with this one, Joe, because I feel like I often do way too much talking. So you've got the floor.
What would you like to know?
So what is your ultimate career goal? Is there a certain field that just lights you up inside when you think about it? And if so, what is that field?
Well, I mean, I've always had, growing up, so many different career choices. When I was younger, I wanted to be a chef when I was very young. But I mean, I'm lucky that at a certain point in my childhood, I knew what I wanted to do and what I'm doing now, and I pursued that. Not a lot of people have that, which I find is quite lucky. But no, as a kid, I was like, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I'd be like, I wanted to be a chef for a long time. I wanted to be a barber at one point. So I was like, I had a comb, and I had this very big, fluffy teddy bear that I would comb his back into also, and like comb against his fur so that I could make shapes with it. That was a very short-lived career choice. But no, so I then decided that I wanted to work in film, which is what I do now. I work in film and TV, have done for a while, but in adjacent areas of I guess, of part of the film industry. I worked as a runner for a little bit in this post-production house. I've worked as like an account handler at a rental company. But no, I mean, when I first chose this career, I always wanted the big dream, I suppose, is directing and writing. But that kind of grew into a very broad creative sense, a very broad creative umbrella. I mean, my biggest heroes are people like Matt Stone, Trey Parker, the inventors of South Park, Ricky Gervais, Richard Ayoade, people that do a bit of acting, bit of directing, writing their own stuff, direct their own stuff, producing their own stuff. So that's kind of like the career goal, or the biggest aspiration, I suppose, of my life.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Sometimes people have to like look at their dreams and tend to feel a bit more realistic. And that's kind of where I put myself now, I suppose, in that if I was to be a director, if I was to be a writer, if I was to do all these things, I feel like I should have laid a bit more of a foundation in terms of practice, in terms I should just be writing more. That's a goal specifically I have as well, is to write more, to practice, and to actually make my own stuff. But then again, you always see people who I mean, I saw this thing that I sent to my sister that makes her feel a lot better, because she as well, she kind of works to live. She does a lot of travel, and I've always admired that greatly about her. But unfortunately, she's never really known conclusively what she wants to do as a career. So I would send her these little snapshots of like some of the most famous artistic people found their voice or found their way later in life. So, for example, Bryan Cranston, on this little list of things, it was like at the age of 45, and Cranston got his role as Malcolm's dad in Malcolm in the Middle, and that was like his first kind of role, I think. Anyway, Tina Fey wasn't a writer on SNL until she was in her 40s. Colonel Sanders of KFC didn't make the KFC recipe until he was in his late 60s. So these things, you know, that's the good thing about keeping a goal and keeping a dream, is now you never know when it's going to happen. You never know when it's going to come to fruition.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. There's beauty in the unknown, and it's really interesting to hear your standpoint, because I think there's a lot of pressure these days for our generation to really know 100% what it is that they want to do career-wise. But also with yourself, I was just observing you when you were talking just then, you definitely know what it is that you want to do. And it's great to see. And so one thing I really wanted to ask you was, have you got a kind of roadmap for your goals, you know, for where you want to be in 6 months' time, in a year's time?
Ooh,
Even if it's just in your head, because I think a lot of the time, like, I'm guilty of this. I know where I want to be. I know what my goals are. Have I got a strict roadmap that I can use to get me there and to help me achieve those goals? No.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in the right place for what I want to do, because I think, I mean, maybe not 6 months or a year, probably a bit too short of a time, because now as we get older, I mean, Jesus, years go by so quickly now. But at the moment, I'm working in camera, and I have goals in place for the next few years, and I know what I have to do. And I think if I was to continue with this path of directing or writing, what have you, I would start my career, or be in my career a bit, working on set and building a group of people that I'd met along the way, of like, hey, I would want to work with you again. I'd want to work, you work well, we work well together. I would maybe one day save up enough money to make my own thing, and then just keep going from there. I mean, like my career goals financially, I don't aspire to like mega wealth. I don't aspire to fame and fortune. I just want to make a couple of good films that I would be proud of, shorts, features that maybe make a little bit of money, maybe have like, you know, a cult following. Not asking for much, but financially, I think I would just be happy if I didn't have to think about money for work. That's my financial goal. I don't have to worry about money. I can support a family. I can go on holiday a couple times a year and not have to really worry about money. And where I just can do what I do what I love, and make a decent living of it. And that's so weird now that in our society as it is, that is a bit of a pipe dream.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, 100%. And with the passion side of things versus the income side of things, this is something that I've done a fair amount of reflection on in the past, because maybe a few years ago, my standpoint was, oh, money, you know. I think as I've matured, my standpoint's changed to passion first, money is benefit of
Yes.
doing what you love. Even if doing what you love maybe means you're not earning as much at first, you're still doing what you love. The money is just something that will come later on. So I don't know if you agree.
No, I do. I think that's a very important thing because it goes hand in hand with fulfillment in some way with life. Because if you hate doing what you do and you're not earning any money from it, that's just a recipe for disaster. I've been there many times in previous jobs, not hating what I'm doing, but just not fulfilled and not earning a lot. So it's like I can't even enjoy life outside of work. So it's like I find, yes, absolutely, find your fulfillment and then try in some way to make money off of it. I mean, it's insane now that you can make money in so many different ways now with like advancements and so many things. But yeah, no, I agree. Fulfillment, I think, is key. And that's the first thing that I think sometimes people have to give up.
Yeah. And I think it's a shame, isn't it, really? We were talking about this a little bit earlier. We will come back to the positive.
Yes.
To you listening/watching. But this is the perfect time for us to bring up things like the cost of living right now. You obviously mentioned fulfillment, and people having sometimes, a lot of the times at the moment, people are having to maybe abandon their aspirations, their career aspirations, just so they can get food on the table. And it's such a shame because you've got these people who are super, super talented. Could be a graphic designer, could be a film editor, could be a musician, whatever. But they are almost having to. I mean, it would be interesting to hear your thoughts on this, you as the viewer or the listener. Let us know. But I feel like a lot of people are having to put their passions on the back burner just so they can stay afloat, so they can keep a roof above their head, so they can eat. And that saddens me.
Yeah, it breaks my heart, if I'm honest. Like when I hear that someone has had to, I guess, give up on something that they truly love or that they're really talented in. I mean, an example, like my cousin, he works in quite a difficult field, and he lost his job recently, unfortunately. It's an artistic field, basically, so it's very hard to get into. It's quite a bit of a niche. And he has a very young son. They just got married quite recently, recently, summer last year. And he almost had to do that. Very, very luckily for him, he's found something that he will enjoy inevitably, but he did have to make that decision of like doing something that he wouldn't quite have enjoyed. It broke my heart to think of that because, again, he's so talented. He's worked so hard to get to where he is. And with just reasons beyond any of our control, money, cost of living, and every single bloody crisis that's going on under the sun right now, it's sadly an all too often thing that people have to do to take care of the ones they love or to just survive even. For me, if I was faced with that kind of thing, I would just, not saying that other people don't do this, but I feel like I would just try my absolute damnedest until the very last second to just keep my career alive. And I guess like this career, even now in film industry, with the rise of AI in terms of scripting, writing scripts, animation, background CGI, just little touch-ups, the film and the way we make films is so under threat. I hear so many people coming in who are working in film at the moment who say like, yeah, the industry is in a bad place right now. And that's just one thing. It's like, okay, if it came down to it, what would I do otherwise? And I just like, I have no idea. I've got no other skills. I've got no other experience. I've tailored my whole life to do this. And it's like, I don't know what I would do.
See, here's my take on that. I completely get it. And I think so many of us are in the same position right now. There's so many different things going on, and they're all making life so much more difficult, personally and professionally. So what I was going to say initially was, you and I, fortunate in some senses because we don't have families, and it's easier for us to maybe stay afloat is the wrong phrase to use, but it's less challenging for us because we've got, in some senses, less responsibilities. We've not got families, things like that. So I do feel for people who have got families and have got that pressure to feed their kids and whatnot. Although you and I, we've both got bills to pay, etc., etc. Like I've got a mortgage and whatnot. I'm able with my current salary to keep on top of my bills, to keep the mortgage going, etc. But I know some people they just don't know how they're going to get from month to month, like money wise, financially. And I feel really bad for them. Another thing I wanted to mentioned was you brought up AI. So many industries are being affected by AI now. You talked about the film industry already. But for me, although, I am a video editor, obviously a podcaster, I'm also a radio host, but working in customer service, which is my full-time role, they are leaning so heavily on AI right now. And without wanting to sound controversial, I'm on the fence with AI at the moment. I don't use ChatGPT. I stopped using it ages ago, pretty much because of their links to Trump and ICE. And then I switched to Google Gemini because I think there is a place for AI. And feel free to disagree, both yourself, Joe, but also you watching this. There's a place for AI, but it needs to be heavily regulated. You've got the environmental impacts. That's one thing, but there's kind of the reliance on it. I think I try to use it. It's difficult, but I try to use it as ethically as possible.
Yeah, I don't always use it for the simplest of things. It's if I wanted a bit more detail or a bit more follow up into the question.
And that's a healthy way of using it. Like with me, I'll let you in on a little secret, listeners.
Okay, let's have everyone gather round. Here we go.
But the intro script for today's episode, I put the bullet points together and I sent them to AI and I said, put this together for me. So it's still coming from me. It's just I'm using it as a tool to help me. I'm not using it as a replacement for a human brain. And I think that's what I'm trying to get at here. You can use it as an aid. That's great. But you've got to be very conscious of the risks of it turning from an aid into a replacement. And
a crutch.
Into a crutch. And I think with customer service, going back to that, so many companies these days are blindly embracing AI, primarily for efficiency. Customer service, they're all about efficiency and numbers. You have to use prompts to write your emails. And although in some senses it's helping, we are also teaching the AI how to do our job. So regardless of whether you're a customer service agent or a manager, you're still using AI. You are teaching it how to replace the job that you are doing and effectively increasing the risk of you being made redundant.
Yeah. No, it's bloody scary. A friend of mine was talking about AI, and he reads a lot about a lot of these, I guess, big things that are coming in. He's big into politics. He's big into science and all that kind of stuff. And he was saying that it's like the internet. It's just the new internet. It's a tool that we're going to use. It's going to change everything. Overall, I mean, I think I agree because I'm on the fence with it as well. I don't particularly like the idea of a lot of these programs and what they're being used for. But there was talks that I think it was OpenAI. Very, very apologetic if I get this wrong. But there was something in that there was a big AI company that was approached by the US, by the White House, and said that they want to implement their AI into drones. And they basically said, no, we're not doing that. And then the White House then went to the next biggest AI company and was like, hey, same question. And they're like, yeah, cool, we'll do that. So it's a bloody dangerous thing. We need to regulate it. We need to get laws in place, but obviously we don't know enough about it anymore. And the UK government is particularly trying to get up a load of things going on with AI. They want to make the UK a big powerhouse in AI companies. And again, as you said about the environmental impact, I saw, again, may need to be fact checked, but I saw again the statistic, the amount of water used in AI last year, all of the AI whatever programs used more water than the entire bottled water industry last year. Something like that. Maybe a bit of an exaggeration, but it's like, if that is correct, that is just scary. And we're only literally a few years in. I mean, remember a couple of years ago when I think it was just 2023, when we had that nightmare fuel of Will Smith eating spaghetti. But now it's uncanny. It's insane how fast it's progressing. And that's just what worries me, is how fast it's progressing and how we can't keep up with it to regulate it.
And it is, you're right, it's terrifying. But Sam Altman, founder of OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, a lot of people say ChatGPT, but it's ChatGPT. I'm guilty of doing that.
Oh, it's ChatGPT. Oh, it's PT, is it? Oh.
Yeah, it's PT.
I always say ChatGPT.
It's because ChatGPT, when you say it fast, it sounds like Boris Johnson.
Yeah, ChatGPT.
When you say it fast enough, it does sound like ChatGPT. But anyway, so Sam Altman, founder of OpenAI, his company, they're responsible for unleashing AI to the world. And he said, once the cat's out the bag, there's no getting it back in. And gets a lot of criticism these days. I've not really bothered to look into why, but he was right with that. In this day and age of technology, it's just another thing. And I don't think it's ever going to go away. It will just turn into something that's there. We're in this massive AI bubble at the moment that at some point will burst. That doesn't mean that it's going to go away. It will still be a tool that people will use. Whether you want to use it or not, that is entirely up to you. And I don't mean to sound controversial when I say this, but you are going to have people who will use it. And it would be good to hear your thoughts on this, Joe, but it's a personal decision. If you want to use AI ethically, sure, that's fine. But everyone has their own right. If they don't want to use it, that's fine. If they do want to use it, but ethically, that's also fine. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like,
it's so tricky because I don't want to make it seem like accusatory or anything like that.
No, I mean, you know, you've got your beliefs with it, and everyone has theirs. I mean, like, I did hear this, like the ChatGPT's ties with Trump and ICE and the funding, basically, of where it comes from. But now I'm just more in the stance of you trace anything far back, and you're going to find some scum in there. You're going to find some dirty dealings, because it's something scary. Like all companies are really only owned by the top five, these 5 companies or something in some way or another. So it's like you follow it back, you follow the breadcrumbs back, and you're going to find like dirty dealings, like, because that's just the state of where we're at now, in complete, unabashed, unashamed capitalistic goals. Just nothing but making money rather than the impact that something will have. So yes, absolutely. I think if it doesn't make you feel comfortable, boycott it. Absolutely. But I always think you're never going to find any organization, any company or dealings, whatever, that is going to be completely squeaky clean. And I think as it's going to grow more in the zeitgeist and more in our society, I think those skeletons in the closet are just going to become more and more frequent.
Yeah, and that's really the thing here. I use it, but I use it with a shred of guilt.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
But it also really does help me as someone with ADHD. AI is continuing to be quite a helpful tool for things that I'll be getting onto shortly, such as time management. But because a lot of ADHD links in with self-development and things like that. And ultimately, sometimes you don't want to be a burden to others. You don't want to be that guy that's always asking for support with this. I'm not saying that's something that I'm unable to do. I'm able to reach out to friends and be like, hey, look, man, with you, Joe, I would happily message you and be like, look, I'm struggling with this. I need your advice. I can still do that. And I do still do that. But I think everyone has got their own problems in life and they've got their own things going on. And I don't want to be a burden. And although some people like yourself or other close friends watching this may be thinking like, oh, you could never be a burden. I get that and I appreciate that. But because everyone's got their own shit going on, sometimes by me going to AI and being like, right, self-development, I've got a really specific issue, something that requires a lot of depth to try and figure out. That's where it can come in handy. But disclaimer here, everyone, it can't be used as a therapist.
Yes, I've had a lot of people who are using AI as like therapy.
Yeah, it's not made for that. And like you actually see on ChatGPT and Gemini and stuff like that, it actually says not to be used as a therapist. So I can't emphasize that more. But that's it. Yeah. That's my take on it. It does help me with my management of ADHD. It's as simple as that.
That's the thing. It's like whatever you get out of it, as long as it helps you and using it safely and responsibly. It sounds like a safe sex kind of thing.
It does, yeah.
Like as long as you're having fun, no one's getting hurt. You know, it's all consensual. But yeah, like you get out what you put in. And for anyone listening, my only advice would be use it sparingly. Try and do your best to do your own research on things instead of just whacking it into a bot. But again, use it how you want. Because I mean, some people have made some really cool stuff out of it, but we've got a long way to go. Anyway,
have.
what are your career goals, Jono?
Back to the positive. More light-hearted content now. So my career goals, they have changed a lot over the years. Pre-uni was someone who spinning many different plates. I had many different passions and things that really excited me. I've always been quite creative. I've always liked being able to create something, to work on something. And initially, I'm answering this in a bit of a roundabout way, but you'll see why. Initially, I had so many different things going on that, you know how people say jack of all trades, master of none? That was very much me. Photography, t-shirt design, video editing, tech support, blogging. I could probably name a good few more, but they're the main ones. And I enjoyed all of them. But even just over the last few years, I got to a stage where I was like, I can't do all of these things. I've got to be a bit more sensible with it. And when I've started to have that realization, I then tapped into the passion. I almost sat there and I thought, what really resonates with me? What excites me, you know? And three things: radio, video editing, and podcasting. Now, any other thing that excites me outside of those three areas, I probably won't pursue because I can't do everything. I also have a full-time job. I also am married, etc. I've got all of these responsibilities, so I do need to be sensible. So those three things are the big three, and I'm going to go through them one by one. They all are relatively interlinked because yes, you've got the financial elements. I do want to make money from those things, but that's not the immediate goal because I have a full-time job. I would like to transition from the 9-to-5 rat race to being a full-time video editor or whatever. But right now I'm comfortable enough with building them up in the background. So firstly, with radio presenting, I've always loved, this won't come as a surprise to those who know me well, but I've always loved sharing new music with friends, family, whoever, because I just love seeing people's reactions to a track. When I discover a track and I'm like, oh, this person will really like this. I get really excited about being able to play that track or that album or whatever and being able to observe the reaction because I'm feeling it already and I want to share that with others.
Yeah.
That's why I got into radio. And then the second, and with that as well, you hear people sharing this, you know, there's a lot of top 40 shows and things like that. You hear a lot of like the same pop music these days. And that's not to say that there's not a place for that, but I've almost taken it upon myself to share music that's similar to that kind of pop music or that really well-known indie music, but is more under the radar.
Yeah.
So that's my main mission when it comes to radio. The second thing, video editing. And this is something that I think we're going to have to make this into a two-part of this episode because there's so many different things, but maybe we can do part 2 next week. So with video editing, it's taken me a while to reach this stage. I'm going to have to turn my light on, aren't I? Because it's getting quite dark.
I was going to say, you're looking really
yeah.
in the fiery depths of Mordor.
I know. It's because of this glare, but there's nothing I can do about it. So I apologize, listeners, but why has it gone back to...
Wait, have you got a light?
Smart bulb.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go. So with video editing, obviously having studied film at uni, the great thing about that degree was it gave both you and I, Joe, a taster of every different element, the pre-production, the production, and the post-production. And I always knew from the get-go that I wanted to get into post-production, but I'd never really delved into the motivation behind that goal, if you like. I didn't really have much clarity.
Your motivation, you didn't know why you wanted to do it.
Precisely, yeah.
Right.
I didn't really have much clarity surrounding that up until a few years ago. And it was my dad has always been one of my biggest supporters, and he's always pitched really smart business ideas to me. And this was a few years ago now. He pitched one that really resonated with me straight away. And it's basically DIY wedding films. So you send cameras, the business model is I can say this because I'm kind of in the process of setting the business up. You send cameras to the wedding party and you say, right, you need to film these parts of the day. So the bride coming down the aisle, the vows, etc., the first dance. And then you send the cameras back to me and I will edit the footage together for you for a reasonable price, you know. because weddings are expensive, and I don't want to take away from videographers. They do an incredible job. R1 did a fantastic job. Big shout out to Dave. I don't want to take away from that, but sometimes you'll have couples who are on a budget, and I guess that's where my business comes in. But it's not just about the model, it's about offering something of value, giving back.
Yeah, that feels like it would be so much more personal because you're literally seeing it through the eyes of your friends who are videoing it or taking these things. I think that's a really good idea. That's really interesting.
Thank you. And it's really nice to hear that. And I've had many business ideas over the years, but this one just hits different, which is why it's one of my big three, if you like. So, and then the final one, this podcast, the DMC. I don't need to go too much into it, but it links in with what I was just talking about with offering value, but it also encourages people to have more DMCs. Yeah. And what I really find special is being able to witness the side of a person that you may not usually see, and giving them that space and a place to really open up if they feel comfortable with doing so, which I think if you go about conversations in the right way, a lot of people will feel comfortable with. That is one of the main reasons for creating this podcast. But all three of those things, the radio, the video editing, and this podcast, all share the same motivation, I guess you could say, which is offering something of value to the people who, with this podcast specifically, the guests, the people we're interviewing, giving them that safe space. But also you, the viewer, the listener, giving you stuff that you can take away as well. So that's it. That's my answer. And there's a lot to unpack there. I know.
No, that's good. I think as careers go, I think you've definitely grabbed the bull by the horns with doing this and this podcast. Like, very happy to be part of it. But yeah, I've always admired that, like, because you previously as well had your radio station that you did that I was very impressed with. Yeah.
That was a great journey running the radio station. The context for you watching this, it was called Unite Radio. And again, it linked in with what I was just talking about, wanting to give value back, wanting to give back to the community. That was something that was really maybe like drilled into me when I was at primary school. And this is such a weird memory, but I remember watching a will.i.am documentary once, and he was talking about being famous. He wanted to give back to his community and to the people who helped him to become a success, And I think almost subconsciously, that was in hindsight, that was part of the inspiration for setting up Unite, to give back to the community. I closed it must have been a year or two ago now, for reasons that I won't go into, but it was a really good experience. But it got to a point where I was like, I've given it my best shot. And it's not that it's not worked out, but my heart's almost like elsewhere now. And I'm still doing radio. I'm still presenting a weekly indie music radio show, and I love doing so. But when I was running the station, I was spending so much time doing just that it was taking away from the passion. So that's why I made the conscious decision to close it down. I was grateful for all of the support, don't get me wrong, but that felt like the right decision at the time. So nothing is ever wasted. No opportunity is ever wasted. There's lessons you learn. So
yeah. I like that.
And I feel like that might be a good place to wrap things up. Do you agree? I
would think so.
Yeah. We will pick this back up because I don't know about you, Joe, but I've got so many additional points I want to go into and I want to discuss. We touched upon them briefly earlier, the budgeting, the discipline, the time management, but there's only so much time in a day. So part 2 next week?
Yeah. Yes, part 2. So we've covered our careers today, the nitty gritty, and then we'll get a bit more philosophical next week of life goals, and try not to talk as much about ChatGPT.
No, let's ban ChatGPT. I think we've said everything about that. I know we weren't planning on doing it, but anyway.
That's where these DMCs take you, though, isn't it?
For sure. So yeah, no, we'll talk about the things we didn't talk about today, next week. Very briefly, earlier we mentioned downtime. Making time for the things that you enjoy that aren't like career related or self-development related, stuff like that. So we'll get onto that next time as well. So with that said, Joe, Any closing remarks from yourself?
Be good to yourselves. Yeah, I think the main thing to take away from this is follow what makes you happy as far as you can take it. Find something that gives you joy, find something that you enjoy, and try and figure out how to make that your living. I think it's very much easier said than done, but I think everyone has a spark. Everyone has something that they can offer to the world. It's just about finding it. And you may not even find it in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s, in your 50s even. You know, some people don't achieve their purpose or whatever until like way later in life. So just keep going. Keep plugging away.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Very TED Talk there, very motivational speaker. But that's what this is about, isn't it?
Indeed. Couldn't agree more. So with that said, this has been episode 4 of the Time for a DMC podcast. Thank you for joining us today. And we will see you next time for part 2 of this week's DMC. Take care.
One more night in my head, I'm stirring up dust and kicking cobwebs, looking for a light I've never known. Will it be out in the wilderness or will it be homegrown? One more night with the dead, I've been spending more time with them than the living. And if you're just the company that you keep, I'll stay where I am for eternity. Well, I don't know if something's gonna come my way. I don't know, but give me just a little taste, 'cause I need something to hold on to. I need more than just a window with a view. And all this looking out is just a symptom of a heart filled with doubt.